Okay. Morning. Daz is ready. Okay. Is it possible for parties to contract of carriage of goods? Is it legally possible for parties to a contract of carriage of goods to stipulate that they hereby agree to reduce, thank you kuya, to reduce or limit, I'd like to emphasize the words reduce or limit, but not to exempt, because that's different. To reduce or limit carriers' liability in the handling of goods. Are parties legally allowed to reduce? Answer is of course yes. Kasi sa batas, mataas po talaga yung hinahanap ng batas. And you know where our lawmakers are coming from, right? We have to have strict policy, rules, regulations regarding business of common carriers so that they are more cautious about how they discharge their services to the public, no? Because kung hindi po mahigpit ang batas natin, like for example on the degree of care that they should observe, magiging there's no motivation for them to be extra careful or cautious in the delivery of their services, no? Pero batas po yan kasi, di ba? And if you recall, civil code says that aside from law, pwede pong maging source ng obligation ang kontrata. So ang tanong ko, pinapayagan ba ng civil law na mag-agree yung parties, medyo pag-anin natin ang buhay ni carrier? Ang sagot po, as we said, is yes. But there are conditions that parties should satisfy. And the carrier, since siya po yung makikinabang sa stipulation na to, kasi nire-reduce natin yung kanyang liability, carrier, as well as the counterparty, which is the cargo owner, must ensure that any agreement they have, which the effect of which is to limit or reduce carrier's liability, no? Kailangang may kasulatan to that effect. It must be in writing and signed by both parties. That's why, class, listen, while the contract of carriage itself need not appear in writing, kasi ang contract of carriage is consensual in nature, right? While the contract of carriage itself need not appear in writing, should parties to carriage of goods agree to reduce carrier's liability, please take note, the reduction of liability, stipulation to that effect, should appear in writing. It's not enough that there be verbal consent to that effect. I repeat, while contract of carriage itself need not appear in writing, no? Kasi consensual po ang contract of carriage, whether of goods or of passengers class, consensual po yan, di ba? The consent of the parties could be inferred from their conduct, right? Ang dami na nating authorities to that effect. Pero kapag nagkasundo sila, ilimit natin liability o responsibilidad ni common carrier, dapat po yan ay nakasulat. Otherwise, the carrier will not be able to enforce that stipulation. So that liability of the carrier will be based on the facts or evidence of the case. Did you get it? Okay? They should sign it. Aside from this requirement, class, aside from this requirement, since may pakinabang si carrier dito, right? The reduction of liability must be supported by a consideration which is other than the service to be provided by the common carrier. So effectively, the consideration here will come from the carrier, right? Kasi siya yung nakikinabang eh. Ano po yung madalas na paraan na ginagamit ng mga carriers para may consideration for the reduction of its liability? Nagbibigay po sila ng discount sa freight cost. So since you agreed to limit my liability, I'll give you a discount or the reduction in the freight charges that I'll be charging you, no? On this for this particular cargo. And of course, last requirement is that the agreement reducing carrier's liability must be reasonable, just, and it should not be contrary to law, public policy. Basic naman yan, di ba? Any agreement or stipulation which is outside the scope or not allowed by law is void and without force and effect. I'd like to point out, class, madalas pong nagiging arrangement between carrier and cargo owner is they agree to fix the amount of carrier's liability to so much. Okay? So for example, per bag of goods being transported, although ang actual cost niya is 2,000 pesos, pwede magkasundo sa kontrata na for purposes of liability, disregard natin yung actual valuation, but we'll just peg it at 1.115 pesos per bag. And so on and so forth. Or another usual arrangement is, which is allowed also by law, carrier's degree of care will no longer be extraordinary, but not lower than that of a good father of a family, which is ordinary diligence, or that which people expect from an ordinary prudent person with regard to his personal belongings. Okay? Be mindful, class, of the provisions contained in Article 1745 of your new Civil Code. Following or similar or analogous provisions are considered unfair, unjust, contrary to law. Ano po yung common feature ng 1745? Ano yung nakikita nyo sa 1745 of your Civil Code? Kaya hindi po siya pinapayagan ng batas kahit nakasulat yan sa Bill of Lading, wala po yung saysay. Aha, ano po yung nandyan? Effectively, class, kung i-analyze nyo ang mga provisions na to, parties are agreeing to do away with any responsibility carrier owes cargo owner. Nakuha nyo? Parang ang pinapatunguhan ng mga stipulations na to, carrier will transport the goods, pero wala siyang responsibility at all. These are therefore stipulations exempting carrier totally, absolutely from liability. Like ito, okay? Goods are transported at the risk of the owner. Parang sinabi ni carrier dyan, I'll transport your goods, but bahala ka. Sagot mo to. Diba? Saka nakakita ng ganyan. I'll carry your goods, pero sagot mo to. Wala akong pake, maat pa. To that effect. I'm not liable for any loss, destruction, or deterioration of the goods, diba? Abay, kung may mangyari doon sa cargo, carrier owes no responsibility at all. Notwithstanding that it's very clear that damage thereto occurred in the course of the transportation thereof. Tapos ito, carrier need not observe any degree of care or diligence in the handling of goods. Carrier shall exercise a degree of diligence lower than that of a good father of a family. So ano pang degree of care? Ang gagawin mo, tititigan mo lang habang nagbabiyahe yung munggo. Hayaan mo, tingnan mo kung gumalaw ka, bahala ka sa buhay mo. Parang ganun. Parang ganun. Dadalhin ko to, pero bahala siya sa buhay niya. Diba? Napaka-irresponsable na stipulation, class. I'm not responsible for the actions of my employees. Please note, class, that for both carriage of goods and passengers, extraordinary care includes control, choice, selection of people. You are as much accountable for the choice of your people. Stipulation to the contrary, not allowed. Because effectively, mga tao mo ang magpapatakbo niyan. So, tayo na mga pasahero, tayo na mga may kargamento, wala po tayong choice. kundi mag-rely sa selection process at control ni carrier. Tama po ba? Okay? Hindi naman part ng proseso pag sasakay ka ng barko o sasakay ka ng jeep. Manong, okay ka ba? Di ba? Wala po tayong part sa selection process. We just rely entirely upon, okay, carrier's choice. Lalo pag sasakay ka ng jeep or taxi or motor vehicle, right? Nai-interview nyo pa ba yung driver na, Manong, hindi ka ba drug addict? Diba? Walang ganun sa proseso. Pero hindi natin alam, pwede, diba? Pwede, no? But when we avail ourselves of the services of common carrier, wala po tayong bargaining power pagdating sa selection ng magdadrive, pagdating sa selection ng piloto or ng captain. Do you get it? That's why mahigpit po ang batas natin when it comes to that, because we entrust our properties and lives to these carriers. I just hope that they are aware of this. Diba? Kasi marami nakikita natin, diba, bara-bara. Okay? Tapos pag nagka-problema, doon nila marirealize, ganun pala ang nasa batas. Kasi sasabihan ng abogado, ikaw po may kasalanan dyan. Bakit wala akong lusot, attorney? Kasi ito po yung nasa batas. Okay? Common carriers shall not be liable for acts of third persons like robbers who do not act with grave threat or irresistible force, grave or irresistible threat, violence or force, no? Because the moment naman they acted with irresistible threat or violence or may puwersa na ginamit class, carrier can insulate itself from liability by claiming that this is already outside my reasonable control, no? But if there is no such force or threat class on the part of the third person, like mga magnanakaw, hindi po ma-excuse si carrier from liability kahit pa sabihing may stipulation to the contrary in the bill of lading. Okay? Kasi ang point ng law, kung wala naman silang puwersa na ginamit, nasa control mo pa rin yan. I think the basic thing is it within reasonable control of the carrier? Common carrier is not responsible for the loss, destruction, or deterioration of goods on account of the defective condition of the means of conveyance. Again, class, common requirement is whether goods or passengers class, basic requirement of carrier is to ensure that the means of conveyance is not defective, that it is in a good condition. You follow? Kasi yan pong mga yan, pagdating sa conveyance, no, yung means of transportation, this is all within the reasonable control of the common carrier. Okay? Part of extraordinary diligence is the responsibility to regularly check your conveyance and ensure that repairs are done if needed. Okay? Ensure that changes in the parts are done if needed. These are all within the reasonable control of every cautious carrier. Are we clear here? Okay. Now, so note though, class, that under the code, okay, may mga nabanggit tayo kahapon na defenses, right? No? Force majeure, natural disaster, war, act of competent public authority. I'd like to point out that under the law, no? Article 1747 in particular, delay on the part of the common carrier, which is found to be unreasonable, class, will preclude carrier from invoking stipulation that limits its liability, as well as, okay, being able to avail of what? Force majeure or disaster as his excuse. Okay? Pag nagkaroon po ng unreasonable delay or improper deviation itong si common carrier, may mga mawawala sa kanya. Number one, yung defense about disaster, no? As well as any agreement that has the effect of reducing or limiting his liability. So ang lesson dito is, if you want to, successfully avail, okay, of the excuses allowed by law, make sure that you're on time, no? Make sure that you're on time, because the moment you delay and there is no good reason that you can offer, other party can claim this defense of yours is no longer available. Why? Because you incurred unreasonable delay. Okay? You follow. Now, please note that legally, as a public utility class, no, as long as there is no just reason to deny or reject goods to be transported, carriers as franchise holders, carriers as public utility, no, are bound to accept goods for transportation purposes. Okay? Wala po sa civil code yung specific grounds as regards rejection, justified rejection of cargo, but you can see most of them in various provisions of the Code of Commerce, no? Actually, iba common sense naman. Bakit mo nire-reject? Hindi yung pwedeng basta wala, basta ayaw mo lang, hindi mo lang type, hindi pwedeng gano'n, no? Common carrier ka, public utility ka. Ano ba yung keywords? Descriptive class of public utility, public service, no? Its business is imbued with public interest. Why? It's a business imbued with public service. Nakuha nyo? So, hindi siya purely business lang talaga. May aspeto ng serbisyo publiko. Nakuha nyo? Pati kasi, kaya nga pati sa kikitain ng mga carriers, di ba? Nire-regulate po yan ng gobyerno. Reasonable ROI is allowed. But not na to the point na talagang sobrang pinagkakakitaan mo ang mga tao. Kasi meron nga pong elemento, aspeto ng public service ang business ni common carrier. So, ang rule class, hindi ka basta-basta pwedeng mag-refuse unless may malakas kang dahilan. Otherwise, pwede po admin, no, case against the franchisee na pwedeng kauwian ng revocation ng kanyang prangkisa. Okay? Under the Code of Commerce, just a quick enumeration of the possible grounds that would justify rejection of cargo. 1, dangerous objects, explosives, for example, may be refused unless the franchise of the carrier is one that allows it to transport dangerous objects. Kasi merong mga carriers na yan talaga ang trabaho. They have the facility, they have the means to transport dangerous substances. Pero kung hindi po, pang ordinary cargo ka lang, you can rightfully reject. Okay? Goods are unfit for transportation, improper packaging. Okay? Mahina yung container, no? Inappropriate yung container. Masyadong hindi siya durable. Ang tagal-tagal nang babiyahihin. Acceptance will result in overloading because you can just carry so much, no? Diba? Hindi yung accept ng accept, hindi naman pala kaya. Diba? Sa trabaho, dapat ganyan din. Hindi accept ng accept, hindi mo pala kaya. Mabibitin yung kausap mo. Okay? Accept ng kaso, hindi naman maka-attend sa hearing. Accept ng kaso, hindi naman matapos ang pleading. O anong nangyari doon sa mga cases? Di na-dismissan, na talo, kasi kulang-kulang sa pleadings, na default. Diba? So, you can only do so much. Ganun din po si common carrier. Overloaded na siya, so no acceptance anymore on the part of the common carrier. Kontrabando or illegal goods, injurious to health, Of course, on the part